Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Bridgewater State University EXCEL program information session. I am Tina Rake. I am the director here at Bridgewater. Welcome to everyone. I hope everyone stayed safe and sound during this crazy storm this week. I see you're all on a device, so you're either in your house and you have power back or you're somewhere else. I know we had lost power. We just got it back last night, so very happy to see that. But what I'd like to do is open it up for the rest of the staff to introduce themselves. And we also have a wonderful intern that is with us this semester, getting her master's in special education. So I'll let her introduce herself as well. So please go ahead, staff, and introduce yourselves.
Morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Zach Chipman, Community Connections Job Development Specialist. Good to see everybody today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Tahasik. I am the Campus Life Coordinator for the EXCEL program. Good to see you all.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lisa Turner. I'm the Administrative Assistant for the EXCEL program. Nice to see everyone.
Hi, Becky Rizzoli. I am the intern graduate student. Very nice to see all of you today.
Thank you all. So what I'd like to encourage everyone to do, since we have such a large group today, is to use the chat function if you have questions throughout. Go ahead, feel free to put a question in. We'll be asking Lisa after each slide if there are any questions, or every few slides probably. We also do have a few students in the program that'll be joining us shortly to share some of their experiences, and we have a peer mentor who works in our program along with our program students who will also be joining us as well. But feel free throughout. We want to make this a discussion, and if you have questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll try to get to those as we go along. So thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So does that look okay? Everybody can see that just fine? Okay. All right. So we're here to talk about our BSU EXCEL program. What is it all about, right? So it's all about access to higher education. It really was not so long ago that individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities who were unable to obtain a high school diploma could not get into college because they did not meet entrance requirements, plain and simple. In addition, we've seen many cases where students might meet the entrance requirements on paper. They do have their high school diploma, probably got it with great difficulty. And then they end up getting into college and dropping out because they feel that they are not quite ready and prepared to independently take on the responsibilities of a college student. Our program was developed to break down these barriers. If you look at our mission statement, it really sums up what we are about here at EXCEL. We are here to ensure that students with intellectual and developmental disabilities have a fully inclusive college experience alongside their college-age peers in the areas of academics, socialization, career development, and independent living. What makes our program unique and kind of sets us apart from some of the other programs out there is the fully inclusive model. So if you look at that representation under the two gentlemen of the circles, many models, in our country of inclusive higher education programs are more of an integrated model, which is the bottom right-hand corner, which is absolutely fine, and it's a really wonderful match for a lot of interested candidates. But as you see, it's sort of a separate type of programming on a college campus, right? So the students are attending workshops and classes all together, learning great skill sets and all of that, but that is that specific model. It's more of a more of an integrated model. Ours is really, if you look at the top, the full inclusion model. That's what we're about here at Bridgewater. Each student has their own independent and individualized experience. Our students are fully immersed in all aspects of campus life, classes, internships, clubs, even now living on campus, access to live on campus alongside their peers. We're really proud to say that Bridgewater continues to be a leader in diversity, social justice, and inclusion, providing a pathway to college access. A little bit about our history. About a decade ago, actually over a decade ago now, in 2010, the former director had partnered with 5 local high school districts, and they applied for a grant that was new at the time, newer, which was the Inclusive Concurrent Enrollment Initiative. Okay, so many of you, if you've researched programs like this, have heard of the ICE program, and that is where this program started at Bridgewater. There was money available, and the idea, they were very forward thinking. It was like, listen, pre-K through 12, under IDEA, their students have access to, to school, full inclusion school model. Access was not there for higher education. So the idea was to partner with high school districts, with institutes of higher education, so that students would have the ability to go to college, a dual enrollment model, where they would still be receiving services through their high school until the age of 22, but then they could also come to a college campus and have a college experience, enroll in courses, and be part of campus life alongside their peers. The spirit of that initiative was, and still is very much today, to provide individuals with IDD access to college. So it's really that plain and simple. Over the years, we have certainly built our partnerships with our schools. We definitely have, actually I should update this, well over 30 partnering districts over the years, just through, word of mouth, program outreach. We attend high school transition fairs. We've built connections with districts, and to name a few, just a few local ones would be Marshfield, Hanover, Bridgewater, Raynham, Norfolk, Norton, Franklin, Weymouth, Attleboro, Brockton, Duxbury, just to name a few. And once we develop a partnership with a district, the partnership is there. So perhaps they have students a certain year that they feel that they are highly qualified and they'd like to recommend for the program, and they attend. And then maybe they don't have a student for a few years, and it kind of comes and goes like that with their programming, and that's fine. They keep in touch. They always are welcome to attend our partnership leadership team meetings and stay in contact with us, and then we update them, on things as the program continues to grow. So over the past several years, we were noticing and hearing from a lot of folks that were interested in checking out the program and perhaps, applying, but they didn't meet the criteria because maybe they were not in a partnering school district. Maybe they had already graduated high school, things like that. So from this great need that we kept hearing about, we ended up developing 2 private pay options as well within our program to increase opportunities. So that is sort of when we went from ICE, Inclusive Concurrent Enrollment Initiative, ICEI, and we became the EXCEL program, Extraordinary Expectations for Career, Education, and Life. And so we like to say we are one program with 3 options. So we're very proud of the 3 options we have. EXCEL Partnership is formally our ICE program, or ICEI, or MACI. Some of you may be familiar with MACI, which is the Massachusetts Inclusive Concurrent Enrollment Initiative. So we are now EXCEL Partnership. That represents our partnership program with school districts. We have our EXCEL Certificate Program and our EXCEL Transition Program. And those are 2 options that we're going to talk a little bit more about the distinction between the 2 in a few minutes. The program outcomes are the same for all of our program options. We want our students to have academic growth through involvement in college courses. So our students will be working with technology continually. We have Outlook, we have Blackboard, our online learning platform, OneDrive. Students will be working on organizational skills, self-management, self-advocacy, learning the differences between an IEP in high school and accommodation letters in college. So students are really taking ownership of understanding their learning needs and learning how to advocate through use of the accommodation letter as a tool in having discussions with their professors. our students are fully participating in their courses. We have the highest expectation for our students to meet the course requirements to the best of their ability. So we have employability skills development, where students are creating career portfolios throughout the year, working on building resumes, cover letters, collecting letters of reference. They will be engaging in employability skills development through mock interviews, professional communication skills. They will be meeting with our career services here on campus. Growth and self-determination. We are very much a supporter of our students making their own decisions. And we want to make sure that the folks who are recommending students and supporting students, that being district partners and families, are supporting this ideal of students becoming more self-determined individuals by making their own decisions, choosing their own classes, choosing their internships. We like to really support the idea of the dignity of risk. Many of you have heard about this idea. Not to say we're going to set the students out to just kind of be on their own without support. There are supports, but we also want them to have the ability to learn through natural consequences, because that's how we all learn, right? Perhaps we make a decision not to study as much for an upcoming quiz, and we don't do as well as we thought we would, and it doesn't feel great, and we're disappointed. And so we make a change for the next time. And that's what we want our students, and we support them throughout that process to have discussions, to build upon that, and to make change for the next time. We have the development of social skills. Of course, you're fully immersed in a college campus. They're paired with peer mentors, which we'll talk about, to help, learn and navigate college campus social life, getting involved in clubs, activities, events. All of our students have banner IDs, have Connect cards, the student identification card. They are able to join in any club and event and activity that they so choose. They're going to be working on things like conflict resolution. So many real life teachable moments that the students will be involved in. Misunderstandings with classmates, roommates. They're not learning it in scenarios in a classroom. They're learning it in experiences. And that's what we get very excited about, because that's where real change happens. Independent living skills development. Our students are involved in everyday problem solving. Things come up every day, and they're learning who and where to go to seek that support. And it's not just their education coach, and we'll talk about that. It's not just our staff. They're learning to access the resources here on campus to really learn and problem solve, eventually more and more independently. They are working on things like time management, travel training here on campus, on and off campus. So the possibilities are endless of all the skill sets they will continue to develop in the program. We like to think of our program model as the 3 pillars, as you've been hearing about: the academic focus, the career focus, and the social. So we, of course, through academics, through enrollment in mainstream college courses alongside other matriculated students, employability skills development through real life hands-on experience on and off campus in internships, and social skills development, of course, with being matched with peer mentors and getting engaged in clubs, activities, and events. So full campus involvement. For all 3 program options, students may apply as a commuter, or they may apply to live on campus. And we'll talk a little bit more about the distinction between some of the program options for those, the criteria for both of those. So I'll just stop for a second before I turn the mic over and see if there's any questions. Lisa, are there any questions in the chat? I have a hard time seeing it when I share my screen.
Yes, there is one question from Pam Walsh. She wants to know if we will work with out-of-state districts.
Oh, out-of-state districts.
Yes.
So unfortunately, no, because the model is that the districts are partnering from Massachusetts. We will absolutely consider out-of-state applicants for our private pay options. Okay. What I'd like to do is, go ahead, Lisa.
Yep, there's one more. How do you navigate guardianship?
Well, So we have in our applications, we do have all kinds of documents that you will interact with and read about with signing off as parents and or legal guardians on documents giving permission or giving agreement basically to the involvement in the program. One of the key pieces is what we call can't think of the name of our document, but it's a letter that students are signing, that the family is signing, that the legal guardian would sign, saying basically that the students are going to be making their own decisions when they are on campus, when they are involved in the program. So ultimately, it will be their responsibility. So the guardian has to be of the understanding that this is the model. There are not 24/7 wraparound supports, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. This is a forward-thinking, fully inclusive model where the students are coming to campus and they are in charge of their experience, and they will be making those decisions. We encourage families and students to have full communication and have their own agreements, just like any student would with their family member, to communicate, to talk when they need advice, when they need to check in on a decision. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there'll be no oversight to make sure that that's happening. And that's what we want to be very clear about, that student is in charge of their own experience and decision making. What I'd like to do, I see there's other questions, but I'm going to move it along. We'll get back to each and every question because some of these might end up being answered as we go along too. So let's take a break on those for a minute. I'm going to turn the mic over to Zach.
Absolutely. So we're first going to go over the EXCEL partnership district option. So the EXCEL partnership program is designed for students ages 18 to 22, and it's 2 tiers for the partnership program. Tier 1, students 18 to 22 and who have not passed their MCAS. So typically those students wouldn't have an opportunity for a college experience, and that was one of the big reasons the Macy initiative was created, to give those students an opportunity for a college experience. So those students do take priority when the applications are coming in. We do also open the door for tier 2 students age 20 to 22 have passed MCAS, but still eligible under IDEA, still working on some IEP goals through their districts. Where both programs, the goal is ultimately competitive paid employment by the end or soon after the program does finish. There is no guarantee, but that is the goal for the EXCEL partnership program. Students must also have a documented intellectual developmental disability as well to fit the criteria. The 2 private pay options, I'll start with the EXCEL certificate program, designed for students 18 and older. Students have not obtained their high school diploma. It is a 2-year BSU endorsed certificate program. Students complete a plan of study. So there's certain benchmarks they have to meet. The students are taking classes for audit, not for credit. So it is not a degree seeking program. Students have a documented intellectual developmental disability. And also the ultimate goal is competitive paid employment. The EXCEL transition program, this one's a little bit different. Also for students 18 and older who have earned their high school diploma. So these students have a huge interest in applying to be an undergraduate student. And this is a good opportunity for students to kind of test the waters, see if college is a good option for them, if that's something they'd like to do. It's something that they'll be receiving extra support to find their way around the campus, navigating the different supports, also taking credited classes, utilizing all the resources that the campus has to offer. Having an internship experience, and also peer mentors to kind of show the students the social life, also accessing the clubs, events, and activities. So really getting immersed into the college experience, getting used to everything that BSU has to offer, with the goal of applying to BSU potentially after the 1-year transition program. Also, that program is not degree seeking, the transition program, so students wouldn't be selecting a major or following a course of study right away. It's really to just get used to the college experience. And I think I'm passing the mic to Christina.
Absolutely. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the many layers of support that we have in place for students. And of course, this is going to look different for every student. It's very individualized, and there's such a wide range of abilities and learning needs. So it will look different for every student, but every student has an education coach that is there to provide as much or as little support as needed. So if it's a partnership student, they are hired by the school district. And if it's a private pay student, we hire the education coaches. If they are taking a class for credit, ed coaches do not go to class with students. If they're taking a course for audit, they do go to class with the students. They are also there to provide academic support, access campus resources, navigating campus, and the idea is to fade support as the year goes on. Job coach support, so ed coaches also act as a job coach at the internship, and they are there to help the students build upon their employability skills. Peer mentor support, as Tina mentioned, each student is matched with an undergraduate student here at BSU for social connections, opportunities on campus, making sure they understand all the wonderful opportunities that are available to them. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Staff check-in meetings. So every student meets with one EXCEL staff member each week. And then of course, residence life support. So there are, we hire our own EXCEL resident assistant. We train all the other RAs that live in the building in Scott Hall on campus. And there's also peer mentors in the evening to check in and do different things with students, independent living skills programming, going to different activities and events on campus. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But this is just a general overview of the support that's provided.
Great. So I'll stop here for just a second. And I was just looking at those pictures. I was laughing because I should have put new pictures in. These were from, of course, last year when everything was fully remote. Our students were amazing. Our education coaches, staff, everybody really hung in there during the height of the pandemic when everything was fully remote, but fully engaged in classes and everything. But these are all online pictures. We're happy to be back on campus this fall. So, but I did want to ask Lisa to see if there's additional questions. I've been seeing the chat numbers go up, so I just wanted to check in to see if we could answer a few before I move on.
Yeah, there are quite a few. Are the courses the students choose audit and or modified?
Okay, so great question. So in the partnership program, as well as the certificate program, the students are taking courses for audit, meaning they're not receiving a grade or a college credit, but they are receiving the credential of being in the program, fully participating. This goes on their resume that they were a part of the BSU EXCEL program, completing it. So they do get a transcript showing that they did audit the course. And audit means, again, so coursework is not modified. In college level, it's not like pre-K through 12 where modifications can take place with an individualized education program. What we do is we work with the students to advocate for their learning needs through accommodations. And so they work with our Student Accessibility Services Office. They send their disability documentation to them. They identify the areas where they struggle. Perhaps it's, recall, or they need a little extra time on a test, things like that. So they will actually have accommodations put in place on a letter that they will work with their professor. to set those up. Maybe it's a copy of class notes, things like that. So, and what we say is they're auditing the class. So we have the expectation that they will fully participate in all of the course requirements to the best of their ability. Okay. At the end of the day, they're auditing the class. So they're going to put their best foot forward and work the best they can with the curriculum. And if they have to sort of work to modify it themselves with their education coach, and then you know, hand in and be a part of things in that way, then that's how it works. Students in the transition program will be taking courses for credit, with the ultimate goal, of course, being that after the year in that transition program where they receive all those supports, that they feel confident and ready to apply as an undergraduate. If they were to apply and be accepted as an undergraduate here at Bridgewater, they could transfer those credits right in, which is terrific. Any other questions?
There are plenty. Is this program appropriate for students with autism that have no intellectual disabilities?
Yeah, so, you know, initially, as you heard, the initiative, the Inclusive Concurrent Enrollment Initiative, was created specifically for individuals with ID, intellectual disability. The thought being that these individuals would likely not ever, you know, obtain their high school diploma and have access to college at all. As the initiative began to gain momentum, you know, more and more interest came from individuals with autism who really did struggle with a lot of skill, who perhaps did not have an intellectual disability as a diagnosis, but struggled in many ways, that needed quite a bit of support, and really still wanted that college experience in a supported environment as well. So we really opened it up to individuals with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities. Of course, autism falls under developmental. So yes. It's a long way of saying yes, that we will consider candidates with autism that do not have intellectual disability. But the focus really is, and we do have to, and Zach did say this, that we, you know, when we only have room for so many students. So we always put as a priority the students with intellectual disability that perhaps would not have other access to college because they do not have a high school diploma. So maybe take one more question and then I'll move on, and then we'll kind of come back.
This one, we may need a little bit more information from Francis. If my child already graduated, can he still get a referral from the school? He graduated the Huntington School in Brockton.
Oh, okay. So he graduated high school already, so he's no longer receiving special education services. Once a student has exited a high school and is no longer receiving special education services, the partnership program would not be an option. However, the private pay options, you know, are there to consider. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide, and then definitely we have them in the chat. We'll come back and we'll get to all of the questions. I'm going to talk just for a minute about the academics. I know that question already came up, you know, about like modifications to coursework and such. So I think I've probably answered some of this already, but again, the fully inclusive model. So students are not in separate classes, not in separate workshops. They are fully immersed. They choose their courses, any course without prerequisites in our college catalog. The students are free to choose from. They are auditing, like I explained, in partnership and certificate, and in credit, are taking courses for credit in the transition program. Ed coach support. Christina mentioned ed coach support. So each student in the EXCEL program has an education coach. This individual works alongside of them, supports their individual needs. When students are auditing courses, this education coach attends class with them. Again, every student is different. Some students will need more support within the classroom setting. Some will need very little support, but the education coach attends nonetheless. To take that extra copy of class notes, to listen in on the assignments, to be able to then provide academic support outside of class and work with the student to access resources and on the campus and to participate in the requirements of the class. If a student is taking courses for credit, the education coach does not attend class with them. However, they are there to provide academic support, however much the student needs outside of class, before and after class, throughout the week. So that's nice. That's the nice thing about the transition program, is that 1 year where the student just might need those extra supports. Perhaps it's just as simple as learning how to make appointments with the resources on campus, and that education coach is there to support them in that process. Helping them to learn how to get organized with college classes is quite different than high school classes. It's very much independent work, and a lot of students struggle with that. We talked about the difference between IEPs and accommodation letter. In college, there are no IEPs. So students sometimes will come and say, well, can't I just give a copy of my high school IEP to the professor, and they'll know, my needs and what accommodations I need? And they say, well, no, they don't work in college. That's only through grade 12. So in college, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and we do educate our students, really work with them to understand this, that they do have rights, and they have rights to ask for classroom accommodations. So it's a wonderful process that our students go through to become a little bit more self-aware, learning how to advocate for their own needs. Like I said before, we have the highest standards in our for our students for full participation. And so we don't want students who are here saying, well, I'm auditing the class, so I don't really have to take that midterm exam. Not the case. Within the program, we want our students taking the midterm. We want our students studying. We want our students doing the assignments, again, to the best of their ability. We have a big push for campus resources. We want our students to be accessing, again, all of the resources here at Bridgewater. We have a wonderful academic achievement center that has academic coaching, writing studio, math tutoring, all kinds of tutoring for classes. So our education coaches work with the students to sort of identify, if any of these resources might be beneficial. And setting up appointments, going to the appointments, so the education coaches can go in the beginning with the students and have till they're comfortable with this process, and then slowly back away the support, and so the student becomes more independent in this area. And of course, like Christina said, we have check-in meetings weekly with the students and the education coaches as a team, which is so important because we're able to sort of help guide and answer questions. All kinds of things come up. I have an accommodation on my letter, and I don't really know how to make sure that that's being set up for the next exam. We will help, guide the student and the education coach to learn how to do these things along the way. So we're always here for support, which is wonderful for both student and education coach. All right, I'm going to turn the mic back over to Zach.
So just talking about career development a little bit. So the students have weekly internships. We have internships on and off campus, about 34 locations, I believe, at this point, which we're really excited to continue to grow our internships, to have as many different opportunities for students to pick from. We're really excited. This is actually the week we're going to see students at their internships and doing observations. So I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite weeks of the year. And it's really just exciting to see the students grow throughout their experiences. Some students come into the program with tons of experience, work and volunteer experience, other students very little. So, and it's awesome for the students to meet some peers, some different college students on the college campus. And a lot of students have developed some really good friendships with coworkers, which has been just awesome, because that's just a natural friendship that just happened organically while working, which I feel like a lot of us have been through very similar experiences. We have job coach support. I believe Christina brought this up before, where the education coach kind of switches hats to a job coach role, gradually releasing support over the year through our career check-in meetings. So the students meet with the career staff every other week to discuss employability skills, to fade support at internships, but also to get geared up and ready to apply for a job. So going through resume development, cover letters, letters of recommendation. We partner with the Career Service Office, which is an absolute amazing partnership where the students get to work with the career staff to have mock interviews, to have resume and cover letter critiques, to have them reviewed. So when going for an interview or passing in an application with their resume, they have full confidence that they'll be a wonderful candidate for that position. And the students also do self-assessments of themselves and identify their internships and choose them on their own. That's one of our big things is students' voice, all about selecting their classes, selecting their internships, picking their own experiences on the college campus. We really want them to start taking ownership right away. And it's something that the students at times have had other people making suggestions or making decisions for them, but this is where their voice is heard first. Like I was saying, whether it was the class or internship experience. And I think I'm passing the mic to Christina, who's going to talk about one of the funnest parts of the program, some of the social activities.
All righty. So I know we mentioned this a little bit throughout our presentation so far, but yes, every student in the program is matched with a peer mentor who's an undergraduate student here at BSU. So we have a lot of BSU students who are special ed majors, education, psychology, social work. I mean, we have students of all majors, but they are there to, help our students make those social connections, make sure they understand all the opportunities available to them on campus, whether it's they want to join a club or they want to go to an activity or an event, a football game, a theater show, comedy night, bingo. Maybe they're just, a little hesitant at first to go on their own. They don't know where to go. We all know walking into a room full of people we don't know can sometimes be nerve-wracking. So just maybe going with them to the activity or event and encouraging that participation on campus. We also have peer leaders, which is great. The peer leaders are there to kind of help, just make everyone aware what's going on week to week on campus. They'll send, notifications and emails out to the students saying, hey, tonight's bingo night if anyone wants to come along, or, you know, today is, I don't know, clean up in University Park if anyone wants to join me and help out and do some community service. So just, advertising different events going on, which is nice. And actually, I have a peer mentor here to actually talk about her experience in the program as a peer mentor. She's been with us for several years. She is an amazing peer mentor. Her name is Katie Lico, and she's going to talk a little bit to you guys about being a peer mentor. You there?
Hi, guys.
There she. Hi,
Sorry,
Katie.
my Zoom. Can you guys still
No
hear me
worries.
with the mask on? Are you guys still
Yes.
able to hear me? Okay, awesome. So
Yes.
hi, my name is Katie. I am another one of the peer mentors as well as a peer leader. This is my third year in working with the EXCEL program, and I am in my senior year at Bridgewater. I'm studying psychology as well as a minor in special education and communication disorders. Being a peer mentor is so important to me because, like Christina was just saying, when I came my freshman year, I didn't want to go to all these activities alone. And so, as you guys may know, when you get to live on campus, if you decide you want to live on campus, you live in the dorm Scott Hall, which is where I also lived. So one day I was just wandering around and I went up to the third floor and I met a bunch of the EXCEL students and I was like, this is my group, these are my friends, like I want to be here at Bridgewater. And it gave me the confidence to know I had those friends when I wanted someone to be along with. So then my sophomore year, I applied, here I am. So that is definitely my favorite part about being a mentor. It's awesome to have a friend a familiar face when you're walking around campus and someone to join you in the dining hall at any given second. So that's what we're here for. I've seen, like I just said, like I've grown up with this program myself too. So I've seen so much growth in all of the students. Some of them have already graduated, some are new, some are graduating when I do this year. So it's a great range, and I've seen so many confidence skills, I've seen independent skills, and it's just really awesome getting to see everyone transition, especially being virtual to being in person. That's a tough transition, and everyone here has done such a great job. So being in the program is amazing. And my favorite memory by far is going, a couple of years ago, we all took the train on campus into Boston, and we did the Best Buddies Boston Friendship Walk together. And it was a great time. And then just being on campus and having that access to your friend anytime. I'm with Lauren here right now, so great.
Thank you so much, Katie. That was such a nice overview of just your experience and, the benefits of, both ways. It sounds like, being a mentor and, how it's benefited you as well. Does anyone have any questions for Katie? All right. Thank you so much, Katie. Actually, Katie, I do have a question because we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but can you mention some of the independent living skills programs that being a peer leader, one of your jobs is to run the independent living skills programs in the residence halls. Can you just talk about briefly a few of those that you've done this year?
Yes. So the independence living skills, we have 3 peer mentors this year, and we rotate putting on different programs and activities. So we do 6 programs a semester. So far this year, we have done how to do laundry. We've done time management and organization, like with your social life and your school life, as well as like keeping your dorm room clean. And then this past weekend, we did communication and social skills. And for each activity, we like to do like little talking points, like have everyone like share like where they're at before. And then we kind of go through there. We give a lot of tips and strategies on the specific topic. And then if anyone has any tips they like to share. And then I always like to turn it into a game or an activity at the end and give out like handouts and visuals to serve as a reminder. And then within each game, we practice those skills that we just talked about. So during the laundry program, I made a laundry Jeopardy game, and then each question you got right, I gave out Tide Pods as a prize, and then everyone did their laundry after.
I love it. Thank you so much. You guys are so creative. We're so lucky to have our peer mentors. They contribute so much to making our program what it is. So thank you, Katie, for being here. Oh, thank you.
If anyone has any questions, I will also be here still, so just chat them away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right.
So eligibility criteria. Yep, I'm unmuted. Perfect. So college is the student's #1 goal. It's always been their vision, going to a college campus and having a college experience. Also continuing to learn in a classroom. One of the big things is being motivated academically and having the desire to continue learning. Some students are ready to go off into the working world, which is absolutely awesome. But some students want to explore other options. And that's what college is all about, finding the right career path. And that's one of the big things in the EXCEL program. We start with career exploration and really finding the right career path. I started college going into accounting and working with money and realized that was not a good career path for me. So definitely shifted gears pretty quick. And that's what college is all about, finding the right path. Students need to also be motivated to have career goals, to want to have a paid position and go for paid employment, whether during the program or after school's all finished up. Also have an interest to learn about independent living skills, also possessing emotional stability and maturity, no history of disruptive or challenging behaviors. And another big piece is solid attendance. Typically, we look at students' high school attendance. As we know, if you're missing school, you're missing class, and you're missing the college experience. You're going to be falling behind, and anybody who's ever fallen behind in class assignments knows that is just not a good place to be and not fun. And it's something that we really take into consideration with letters of recommendation. We typically have letters of recommendation from academic staff, also from vocational supervisors, and a personal letter of recommendation as well. And this is for the commuter programs, which all three programs offer commuter option. Also something I want to put out that there aren't wraparound supports. So we do, our goal is for students to become independent as possible in all areas of the college experience, whether from travel training to studying, working at internships, attending social events and things of that sort. And there is additional criteria for residence life candidates that Christina will be going over shortly. Perfect.
Alrighty, so as Tina mentioned earlier, we like to be very clear and upfront when explaining that, students living on campus, this is not a residence life program. So this is not a program where they're going to have 24/7 wraparound supports. So students have the option to live on campus, but there are, times when they are going to be alone. They are going to have to um, make decisions and judgment calls and react to situations appropriately and safely. Having an understanding of general safety and kind of knowing when something doesn't feel right and catching red flags. So we just like to make that make everyone aware that this is, students are living in a dorm. They are free to come and go in this dorm as they please. They could leave their dorm at 11 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning if they wanted to, and that's going to be, not that we encourage that, but of course that's going to be their decision. So there's no one there isn't going to be anyone stopping them from doing that. So because of that, we like to review our residence life criteria when living on campus. So partnership students must have one successful year in the commuter program first before they can apply to live on campus. That gives us a chance to get to know the student and, just kind of see if they're a right match for living on campus. Able to live independent from support staff. Like I just said, there are going to be times when maybe their roommate goes home or, they are alone and have to make their own decisions. But they do have support from, like I said, the evening peer mentors, the resident assistants, the resident directors. But that's where having those strong self-advocacy skills comes in key, because they, having those, we don't expect them to know everything and have all the answers, but they should know who to reach out to and when to reach out for support when they need help, and have the ability to ask for help. Ability to independently recognize and react to emergency situations. If there's an emergency, if there's, a fire alarm goes off, are they going to know what to do? Are they going to know to get up, get out of bed and exit the building? Things like that. Personal safety, like I just talked about, knowing when something doesn't feel right, knowing general safety skills, catching red flags, keeping yourself safe. Strong daily living skills, so things like personal care, managing personal belongings, things like your ID, your phone, your wallet, your money. The ability to function independently, so things like using technology, navigating campus, self-medicating. So again, this isn't 24/7 support. So students have to know what medications they're taking, why they're taking them, when to take them. There's no one on campus that will be able to administer medications. So that's very important to know. And following a schedule, of course. And like I mentioned earlier, that Katie talked about our peer mentor, we do have independent living skills programming for students living on campus. We offer the peer leaders offer 6 programs per semester. We ask that the students choose 3 of those to attend. So it's not mandatory that they attend all of them, but we do offer them, they can attend all or they can choose to attend the 3. But we focus on topics like laundry, transportation skills, organization, time management, communication skills, grocery shopping, budgeting, but just giving students a chance to practice those skills in a real environment, right? It's very different from being in a classroom versus when you're on campus living on your own and implementing these skills in real life situations.
Great, thanks, Christina. So why don't we take a few questions, Lisa, and then what I'm going to do is just take a quick break. We are going to talk about our application timeline and the cost of the program, but we also have a few students that are actually in the program who have joined us. So what I'd like to do is answer a few more questions and then welcome the 2 students to share a few minutes about their experiences, and then I will go over the cost of the programming. Lisa, I can't hear you. I'm not sure why. No,
I can jump in.
Okay.
So where we left off was that if a student takes 1 or 2 classes during the transition program, can they transfer them in later? They can. That would be one of the smoothest transitions if the students going to BSU as an undergraduate to become a degree-seeking student. Those credits will transfer right into BSU, which is awesome. Next question. And we answered Jared Grimm's because it was very similar. We're only taking student enrollment for September. The question is, can students enroll in January or only September? As of right now, it is only in September. The next question is, in the transition program, do they choose classes or are they required classes? Are they graded? The students are taking the classes for credit, and the students get to pick any classes as long as they do not have prerequisites. Prerequisites, students have to take the entry-level classes to take advanced classes. So as long as it's not prerequisites in the transition programs, the students can take any class, and we really encourage the students to pick any class that they'd like to start out with, especially getting used to the college experience. Picking something that we have a high interest in would be a good way of starting out. And the student, those classes are graded, so the students would be taking them for credit. So students take regular college classes, yes. General ed, do they take any life prep classes such as the students Lorraine, the students get to pick their classes they're taking. So they're in the classrooms with all the other BSU undergraduate students. There aren't separate classes. I'm not sure if we have financial literacy here, but
oh, they were asking if there was a financial class.
I believe we do have finance classes, but we don't have life prep classes. The students do go into have the independent living skills, Rest Life students do, and there's a lot of different opportunities and events on the college campus that students get to participate in as well. The peer mentors do a wonderful job of showing the students the college life, also joining clubs and different activities.
Right, and I want to make note that in regards to that question, as far as that's the difference, the distinction between other programs that do have that more integrated model. again, where this type of life skills lessons, workshops, and things like that are happening in a classroom with students all together in the same program. This is, again, a fully inclusive model where students are having their own personal college experience. So we work with our students through something called person-centered planning, where they're creating a vision for their future, setting goals, short-term goals to be working on while they're in the program. And so we kind of meet them where they are wanting to focus on certain skill sets that they are wanting to work on. So we will support them in the development that way, not in a classroom setting, if that makes sense.
I think we'll go through one more question and then we'll jump over to our student representatives. So the next question, Tina, I will need a hand with this one. Can a student currently be a freshman struggling at BSU move into the transition program?
Oh, right. I know we've had this question before. So unfortunately, once a student is in an undergraduate or degree seeking program, they are ineligible for our program. So, you know, what we have found was, and that's sort of why we developed the transition program, is because oftentimes students on paper can get in, they get into the college campus. We do have a wonderful student accessibility services office over in the academic achievement center. So obviously, we're going to encourage students that are already in degree seeking programs to work with the folks there to get supports. You know, if it's a situation where someone has tried to go to college and tried it and then decides that they need to withdraw and they need to reset, that would be a different story, okay? Then they're coming to us, you know, and applying to the program while not being in college. So that would be a kind of a one-on-one discussion that we would have with somebody interested in the program. But once they're in as a degree seeking student, they're not eligible to apply. So I hope that helps for now. But please reach out if you'd like to discuss further. So yeah, let's go ahead and introduce our students for a minute, and we will get to the rest of the questions, I promise. We do have two students here, and let's see, let me stop sharing this. I believe Jake Quinn, I think I saw that he hopped on. Hi, Jake. And so I'd love to introduce Jake. Jake is one of our EXCEL partnership students. I'll let him tell everybody a little bit about himself, and he's living on campus this year. Very, very exciting. So Jake.
It's awesome.
I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
Hello, my name's Jake Quinn, and I'm currently in my second year in the EXCEL program. My first year as a resident. I've enjoyed being part of the program. It is something that I strived for since sophomore year in high school. I'm going to start talking about my experiences. My afternoons during the week are busier than the mornings, so I'm fortunate to get into a morning routine with my cousin Matthew and a few friends. We meet up at 8 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for breakfast. Then I go back to the dorm and get ready for the day. Tuesday and Thursdays I have to relax in the mornings, which I take full advantage. I take classes every afternoon except for Friday, which is the day I intern. I meet with my education coach, Jason, every day from 1 to 5. Jason meets me for lunch, attends class and the internship, and we work on assignments together. For dinner, several peer mentors and EXCEL students meet at ECC, and the food is awesome. I am taking 2 classes for audit this semester, which means I do not receive a final grade, and the class does not count towards a degree. I'm taking Intro to Acting and Principles of Public Relations. I love both classes, but especially the acting class. We do a lot of fun acting games. I love living on campus. I like being able to make new friends. I like eating in the free dining halls. I also enjoy attending the football games. I hang out with my peer mentors. We go to dinner together, play games in the lounge at Scott Hall. We went on a trip to the fire station for a tour and go to the football games. They also assist with public transportation. Last week, they had a few of the EXCEL students use the transit system by ourselves. They made sure we got on the shuttle okay and told us where to exit the shuttle to get safely back to the dorm. I felt really independent riding it. I am the buddy director for the Best Buddies organization here at BSU. We have executive board meetings every Tuesday in person, which I'm really happy about, and plan monthly events for the chapter. I participated in bingo, which is run by the program council. I helped celebrate the K-9 graduation from the exposure school. We got to eat cake and everything. Unfortunately, Zach, the graduating K-9, didn't get to eat though. There is also a meeting twice a month for independent living skills, which is run by the peer leaders and skills for or to be able to live alone someday, like doing laundry. More about my internship. I'm interning at university events. The group sets up for events and also takes down once the event is over. So far, I've checked audio technology, which I checked the sound level and clarity. I've also assisted in this setup for homecoming last weekend. We set up University Park with tables and chairs. I can tell you, taking them down is a lot easier. I'm really enjoying my internship so far. I can hardly wait to see what else I'll be learning. I'm so proud of how independent I've become since September. The biggest thing I've learned is how to be aggressive when doing laundry. You need to get your laundry out on time, or else someone might take out your laundry if you leave it in there too long. I set a timer so I know when to get or move my laundry. Also, I have my own routine now between showering, eating, and managing my time. I did struggle in the beginning of getting into a routine, but now I have a set routine. I'm more settled in the dorm. I get my medicine ready every Saturday night for the week ahead, and remember to take my meds twice daily. Overall, my completion of daily living skills has increased dramatically since being on campus. He's had none but myself to handle them. I highly recommend this program for any student that can live mostly independent. I knew I had a lot to work on before I could be accepted into a residential life program, and that was my motivation to become the independent person that I am now. That's it.
Jake, that was incredible.
Thank you.
You did such a nice job giving us an overview and sharing how you've grown. And that really hit me when you said, I've got no one but myself to sort of rely on when it comes to my day in and day out organization and taking my medications and getting my schedule. And and you said it was a struggle in the beginning. That's important. Yeah. We need to struggle. That's part of learning, right? And then we kind of reach out to folks to get some support to kind of figure it out. I love that you're getting up at 8 a.m. for breakfast. That's very impressive.
I set my alarm for 6:30, and then I normally don't get out of bed till 7.
Wow, well, that's good. You're very
and this morning it was looking tough. I didn't want to get out of bed.
I love that. Does anybody have any specific questions for Jake? We will go back to the other questions too, but any specific questions for Jake while he's still on with us? You got a nice comment, Jake. It says, thank you, Jake. Great experience.
You're welcome.
Lisa, any other questions?
Yes, there are plenty of other questions. Can you hear me this time?
Yeah, but just for Jake, we'll go back
to
the other
question. Not for Jake.
Okay.
Not that I can see anyway.
We just had one come in. Says, what was important to know before you started the program, Jake?
Great question.
It is important to know that you're independent sometimes. Sometimes your roommate stays home and you're holding down the fort, which I do a pretty good job of anyways. Yeah.
We have another comment here, Jake. Mr. Hogan is very impressed with your independence.
Wow, thank you.
I love that. Let's see, anything else says, let's see, no questions. Oh, very impressed. There you go. And for Jake, thank you, Jake. I would not have thought of that. I agree. That's wonderful. So Jake, you're really an inspiration. You are setting a really nice example, you know, to share your experiences for other students who are considering the possibilities of this program. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And so what I'd love to do now is to introduce Lauren Hart, because both students have to get on to classes. I know they both have classes coming up, so I want to make
Tina?
sure that they have a chance to share. And Lauren, please join us if you can.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna get
can.
off right when Lauren does her speech.
I actually got an email from my professor because I warned him about this info session. He's like, "Oh, you don't need to come to class today.
Oh,
Enjoy your Friday." So that's how I started my Friday.
all righty then. All right, Lauren, so you go ahead and I'm going to mute
No,
myself.
I'm not in
and
a
you go ahead
rush.
and share. Okay, great.
I'm gonna like Christina gave me a bunch of questions and I'm gonna go question by question. I just thought it was easier for me to do it, so I'm not gonna do exactly what Jake did. What is your day-to-day schedule like? Typically, it's not the same every day, but Monday through Friday, I meet with my ed coach at 9 a.m. It's the time we meet every day. That's the same every day. But sometimes I might meet her in the Moakley lobby. Some days it might be in the library. And we work together for a few hours. Then I go to class. Then I will have lunch with friends. Then I check in again with her later in the day. And then lastly, I go back to my dorm and relax for the rest of the day. This semester, I am taking Intro to Public Speaking on Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 11:15 till 12 p.m. And also this fall, I am taking Child Study in Early Childhood and Elementary on Tuesday and Thursday from 2 o'clock to 3:15. How do I like living on campus? I absolutely love living on campus because I have learned how to learn to live on my own, and also share space with somebody else. And also learning how to organize and manage my time between meetings with my ed coach. What are some things you have done with your peer mentors? Go to dinner, play card games such as Uno, watch Netflix, go on the hiking trails at BSU, and go to the gym. What clubs/activities have you participated in? This fall, I am in Best Buddies, and also I'm in the Geology Society. What internship am I doing this fall? I am at the Tinsley Fitness Center, and I love it since everyone is very friendly, and I typically swipe in like when you come in to swipe your card in, so we know you're in the building. And also because we do an hourly head count, see how many people are in there. We don't have a max how many people can be in there, but my supervisor likes to know how many people are in there. And how has my independence grown since living on campus? My independence has grown since now I am organized. I clean up after myself, which I never used to be able to do, and I do laundry multiple times a week. And the difference between last time I was at Bridgewater, I was in the partnership program. Now I'm in the private pay program. And also, I'm taking both of my classes this semester for credit. And I've also made friends outside of this program, such as my friend Brittany. She enjoys having dinner with a lot of the BSU EXCEL students, and she finds it a lot of fun. And I've learned to advocate for myself and manage my class workload. And if I need help, I call my ed coach and we hop on Zoom together if it's later in the day and we don't want to meet. And that is all.
Amazing, Lauren. I should have mentioned before when I was introducing you, that you are in our EXCEL transition program. So you are taking classes for credit, going independently, which was a big step after being in our partnership program when you were auditing classes. I am able to see my chat a little better now. So you do have a couple questions, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm looking.
It says, Lauren, is your roommate part of the Excel program as well?
Yes. Yes, she is. We're both very different people.
Yes, that's right. And let's see, sorry. Okay, Lauren, what was it like getting used to a roommate? That's a good one.
Very hard, because I was used to having such a big room at home to myself and realizing, oh, I actually share a space.
I know,
But the
right?
smart thing I do is like I'm only usually in our room when I sleep.
Okay,
I try not to be in the room 24/7.
okay.
I
Good
might
for
go
you.
to a lounge with a couple of the other kids that live on campus and hang out there for a while.
Yeah,
I think it's better than staying in your room all the time.
sure. Right. And it's not like everything's going to be easy, right? Everything's
No.
going to be like a piece of cake. It's like any college student adjusting to living on campus. You know,
Yeah.
you got to get used to a roommate and share, like you said, sharing space, learning how to problem solve together, learning how to work through conflicts. All of this is important, yeah, to becoming more confident and independent. Let's see.
Yeah, I would say
everybody's
it's a friendly campus, yes.
Oh, good. So
like-
you're good.
Yeah, I can see the chat.
Good.
On my computer.
Describe the campus. What do you mean when you say it's friendly?
Like say like you can wave at someone, they wave back. Which
I
is
would say it's a
nice.
very,
Friendly.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Very friendly campus.
Yeah.
Like I might like say if I run into like an old friend, they're like, oh hi.
I love that. It really is a nice, diverse campus. You know,
Which I like.
I do too. And just a really inclusive campus. People are all walks of life. Everybody's together. Everybody's accepting. Everybody's friendly. It's really a nice vibe here. I do agree with that. Any other questions for you specifically, Lauren, that you see?
I would say the difference between me and my roommate are I am very social and she's very kept to herself. That's the difference between me and my roommate, because someone put that in the chat.
Yeah.
That's how
That's
I
a
would
good
say how different we are from each
Yeah.
other.
I like that. Excellent. So I love it. Lauren, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome, Tina.
And thank you for joining us. You guys, you're free to go. So Lauren, you can have plenty of time to get to your class.
No, he
I know
gave
the
me the day
professor said-
off, and it's kind of good because I'm going home tonight
Okay.
with actually one of the other students that lives on campus with me, Emily. She's gonna go home with me for the weekend.
Fun. I
So
love it.
it would give me a chance to finish packing and
Terrific.
everything.
I'm
not complaining how I have the day off of class. I'm not
There you go.
complaining.
Use it as a little gift. Well,
Yeah,
enjoy
that's what
and have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. So I'm just going to quickly get through there's only a few more slides. We'll quickly get through those and then we'll come back to all those questions, okay? Because this information is important and there might be a couple of questions about this information. Zach, I'll let you quickly run through the application process and timeline.
Absolutely. So we are actually, we just recently sent out applications for the 2022-2023 academic year. So applications typically go out in October. Applications are due back in December. And then we do student interviews and observations in January, and then send out notification letters in March. There is some differences between the partnership program and the certificate transition program. The partnership program, we have to be partnering with the district to start things out. And that's just having a meeting with the district, kind of laying out the MOU, the responsibilities and the expectations of both parties. So if a family student was interested, talking to a special education teacher or transition specialist to set up a meeting with us to start a partnership. And then we send the applications directly to the partnering school district, and they identify students, student applicants from there. So the district would be completing part of the application, and student families would be completing the other part of the application. So when it goes to the certificate transition program, the two private pay programs, students will be students and families could reach out directly to the Excel program staff to have a application sent. Um, and then that is completed between the student and family. Letters of recommendation are a big piece of the application process. We highly suggest attending an information session as you are today. And to learn more about qualifications for the candidates and programs, we highly suggest to take a look at the Excel program website, which we can add to the chat so everybody can take a look at that and learn about a little bit more about the program and the components. And as I said, applications sent directly to families. And it is the same timeline between the partnership, certificate, and transition program. So the application timeline fits for all three programs. Awesome.
Okay, so we'll talk briefly go over these the fees on our website needs to be updated. We had just set these fees recently for the 22-23 academic year. So of course we have raised our fees slightly for this coming year. For our Excel partnership program, it will be $9,000 for a commuter student for the academic year. So the district will pay $9,000 to have the student attend 2-3 credit courses, one in the fall, one in the spring. It will cover that fee will cover the books and supplies, weekly internship experience, peer mentor support, and of course it will pay a portion of our program staff. Additional costs that districts will need to consider is that they will be sending an education coach from the district to work with alongside the student. As a commuter, we have an agreement with the district partners that they come attend campus 3 times a week. In that dual enrollment design, they're here at Bridgewater 3 days a week and back at the district 2 days a week. Students have very full schedules in our program, so we at a minimum like to see them here for 15 hours a week as a commuter, as they're engaging in classes, meetings, social times with peer mentors and friends, internship, and of course, academic work that they're working on their assignments and staying up on all of that. The district is also responsible for transportation to and from campus. So for this year, this is the first year we will not have a grant that had been available through the Department of Higher Ed through our Macy partnership with the state for students living on campus in the partnership program. So this is our final year in that receiving that grant funding. So now we are moving into a fully self-sustaining model for the program. We're very excited about this. That will mean, of course, that there are responsibilities for payment, a bit of an increase in the program fee for any district partner who is supporting a student that they are recommending as a qualified candidate to live on campus. And this increased fee for that will go for sort of a fuller commuter type of experience, if you will. So they're supporting the student 5 days a week now. Being on campus, of course, they'll be living on campus. So this is an option that the students can apply to live on campus. There is a portion, as you see here, that the family will take on responsibility for paying. And then the district will be still supporting their 5-day-a-week commuter experience, in that they'll have an enriched experience. They'll be taking 2 courses per semester because they're here full time. They won't be receiving programming back at the district. So they'll be working on these skill sets 5 days a week on campus. So they'll be taking 2 courses per semester. So it's $11,800 for the district fee for a student that has elected to live on campus. There are books and supplies, of course, that will cover additional weekly internship experience. So typically students living on campus will have 2 internships shifts a week or extended hours at an internship. They'll have peer mentor support, living on campus in the evenings, as Christina mentioned, evening peer mentor and resident assistant support. And then, of course, pays for a portion of the EXCEL program staff. Additional costs that the district should consider in this scenario is that they would send the education coach 5 days a week to support the Monday through Friday commuter experience, for an addition for at a minimum of 20 hours a week. So roughly about 4 hours a day. And then, of course, transportation to and from campus. Typically at that point, it's just for the education coach coming to campus. So for the residence life fee, if you will, if a student is electing to live on campus and the district is fully supporting this candidacy criteria, the families are then responsible for paying their own program fee direct to our program, which will cover, that will be $2,000 for the upcoming year, which will cover evening mentor support and resident assistant support, as well as paying directly to BSU for room and board. So if the student is living in the hall where our students live, which is Scott Hall, these are the current fees, I will say. They are likely to go up slightly for this next year, but currently it's about $8,100 per academic year to live in the hall. The gold meal plan, which is your average meal plan, which is a very substantial meal plan, is about $42, $48 per year. And then personal expenses, we like to just round it to about $2,000 as kind of an average of personal expenses. And so you can see kind of that average total cost for families around $16,348 to support a student living on campus. Let's see. And so now we have our private pay program fees. So this is for individuals in the certificate or transition program. As a commuter, the fee will be $20,000, and that will cover direct support staffing. So that fee goes directly toward a one-on-one education coach that will support the student in the program 5 days a week for roughly around 20 hours per week, around 4 hours a day. During their classes, for academic support, internships. They will have, of course, weekly internship experience, peer mentor support, and support from the EXCEL program staff. So that fee goes directly toward staffing. Then they pay, of course, directly to the university for tuition and fees, books and supplies, personal costs. So the average around, again, these are current fees right now for those items, but the average is about $28,800 for a commuter student. Over to the right, you will see our residence life fee bumps up a bit to $23,000. Again, the education coach support, weekly internship experience, peer mentor support. It's that additional charge for that evening. Evening mentors are on every night on call. From, I think it's usually around between the hours of 5 to 8, 4 to 8. And then you have that resident assistant that we hire to have an additional resident assistant in the halls to support students. And you'll see the breakdown again of tuition and fees, room and board, meal plan, and personal expenses. So the average total cost for residence life in state is around $45,000 when you consider the program fee as well as direct BSU fees, and around $48,000 for out of state. There's a slight increase for tuition and fees for out of state candidates. And these are just some fun pictures, BSU campus life of our students involved, fully immersed on our campus and enjoying campus life. Our contact information is here. It's of course on our website. We also encourage everyone to follow us on social media. If you type in BSU EXCEL, you'll get us either on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And we definitely encourage you to visit our website to get our contact information and to reach out. So what I'm going to do now is to stop sharing the screen. Maybe I'll turn the mic over to you, Christina, if you want to tackle a few of the questions.
Absolutely. So I think where we left off, do transition students have the option to take a course as an audit if they need to start off with the ed coach in class with them, then move on to taking a class for credit. So students in the transition program would typically take the courses for audit. So I'm sorry, for credit. They would start out taking the course for credit, you know, and then they would have academic support outside of the classroom. So, you know, they could use the accommodations that, if they're meeting that criteria of having their diploma, they could use accommodations such as, you know, note taker, or, you know, recording the class if they needed, using any of those accommodations in class, and then outside of class, academic support from their education coach if they needed to review, you know, the class material with their education coach. You know, they could use tutoring services, they could use academic coaches, any of those, you know, services on campus to help get them through the class. Let's see. Trying to. Will slides be available? Well, all of the information, yes, we can send out the slides, but all the information, you know, on the PowerPoint is also on the website, broken down very clearly on the website. That might actually be a better place to look, but yes, we can we can send the PowerPoints out. Let's see, sorry.
So you'll want to reach out to Lisa Turner, who is our wonderful administrative assistant who sent you the link for today's meeting. Reach out to her directly and she'll be happy to forward the slides to you.
Let's see. I'm having trouble scrolling through here. How many classes are selected each semester? Please explain the prerequisite piece mentioned by Zach. So every student takes 2 classes per semester. Students can take any class available at BSU, offered at BSU, as long as it does not have a prerequisite. So a prerequisite is basically something that you have to do before you can take the class. So it might require you to take 1 math class before you can move up to the 2nd math class, for example. So if a student took the required prerequisite, then they can then, you know, the next semester take the other class. But they can pick any class offered by BSU as long as there is no prerequisite, or if they have met the prerequisite. Are you familiar with the CIP program in Lee, Mass? And if so, what is the main differences between the 2 programs? I personally, go ahead.
Our former director actually went to the CIP program in Lee, Mass, and I believe that is the internship program. And my understanding, which I have not visited the program, is the program is housed nearby to a college campus, and students travel to and from. So it's kind of similar, I believe, to our partnership program. It has a lot of the similar components where we kind of follow the guidelines of everything that BSU is offering. So we've become part of the fabric at BSU. So clubs, activities, events, students in the EXCEL program are participating in all the same clubs, all the same events. We just had homecoming weekend where students and families were coming to campus, participating in all the fun activities. Last week was was Spirit Week, which was really cool. So the students are participate. We don't with all the other with all their peers from BSU, the undergraduate students. So I believe that's some of the big differences. We do everything in line with what BSU is offering. And I feel like that's one of the big differences between the 2 programs. I haven't done a ton of research into that program. I have heard some wonderful things about that program though.
Okay. Let's see, the next question, do the ed coaches work with more than 1 student? No, sometimes in the partnership program, there is a 1 ed coach to 2 student ratio. The private pay program, they are one-on-one with the students, and they have the same education coach for the whole year. Okay. Let's see. What time is open and closed at Bridgewater State College? So sorry, Johnny, can you give me a little more information there? Are you asking what time BSU opens and closes? I just want to make sure I understand the question. You can unmute yourself if you want and just jump in and
Yes.
okay, just wanted to make sure I understood the question. So there really is no open and close time. So basically when you're coming to campus and leaving campus all depends on your schedule. When you have classes, you might choose to come just in time for your class, or you might want to come early so that you can go to the library or go get lunch or whatever. If you live on campus, of course, the dorms are open all day, all night. I mean, you're able to use your card to get into the dorm. So, if you arrived in the middle of the night and needed to get into the dorm, you could do so as long as you have your Connect card. So there's really no like open and close time, so to speak. It's a very different from high school in that, when you're coming to campus just depends on your schedule, your individual schedule. Good question. How do we get an application? I believe we probably answered this one, but for partnership, they go directly to the school district. So you would have to have a partnership with us first. So if you are a student or family, interested in the program and you're here now, you would just have to talk to your district about partnering with us first, then we send the applications to the district. For private pay programs, we send them directly to students and families. So you would just have to reach out to Lisa Turner and request an application from her. Okay. Can the applications be sent to families directly if the school district does not have a partnership with BSU? So no, unfortunately, they have to be sent directly to the school district once a partnership is formed between us and the school district. And then you would get them from the district. Can or do students do more than a year in the transition program? So the transition program is designed as a one-year program, but we do take, additional applications for an additional year on a case-by-case basis. But it's important to know the program, especially recently with the private pay options, is very competitive. So, case-by-case basis, we'll have to take all of that into consideration. How many students have entered the transition program with autism and developmental disabilities? How many students typically in the transition program? I don't know that we have any numbers off the top of our head on the number of students with autism and we've had several, many. I mean, that's a very high number of students with autism and developmental disabilities. But we have such a wide range of profiles of students. We have students with autism, we have students with Down syndrome, we have students with intellectual learning disabilities, so such a wide range. Typically, the number of students in the transition program, I mean, it varies year to year. We're in our second or third year of the transition program. And with having 3 different program options, we, have to be as fair as possible when making decisions. This year we have 5 transition students. So I would say somewhere between 5 to 10 transition students. Does anyone know if 529 funds can be used to pay for the transition program? Lisa, I'm going to give this one to you.
Well, good, because I was going to take it from you.
Good.
Yes, actually, just this year, families have been using 529 funds for the program fee and for courses. I'm not too sure if any of our residential fees were covered under the 529 funds, but I do know that program fees and courses were.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
Do districts pay for the ed coach in the certificate or transition program? No, because students in the certificate or transition program have exited high school. That's one of the criteria that you have to have completed high school, be done with high school, and then you can apply for the certificate or transition program. So no, those programs would be paid for by the families. Due to COVID, my son did not have to take the MCAS to graduate. He would not have been able to pass, but we still received his diploma. Are there exceptions to qualify for that program since he did not take them? Tina, I'm going to let you take this one.
I can jump in on this one.
Sorry about that.
We've had this come up recently, actually, and we actually started having it come up last year. It was something that we've had to decline other applicants due to this similar situation. Students who are interested in the transition program, what we kind of with keeping the criteria the same. We're not offering waivers. It's something that it's we do feel that a number of students are kind of in limbo due to this type of situation. But we did have it come up and we have had to decline other applicants, or they've decided not to take the diploma to participate in the certificate program here at BSU. So unfortunately, unless a son or daughter is interested in applying for the transition program, which he would meet the requirement for the transition program. And I see Connor and Terry's in a similar boat.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that, Zach. We would love to be able, and we have in the past had the flexibility to make exceptions to our program criteria when we had more staffing. And we are operating right now, we like to call ourselves a small but mighty program, but we are operating in a decreased staffing model right now. And so we really need to stick very clearly to our program criteria. This is an unusual case that has happened due to COVID, but we don't have the flexibility or the space capacity to make exceptions to our criteria, and that plays into it greatly. But with high school diploma, we would never recommend we would never recommend to a family either way to go, and to an individual student. If you have that opportunity to accept a high school diploma, that's terrific. It's an unusual situation, and that can open other doors for you. There are a lot of college programs out there with more of an inclusive model that you can, and more supports in college with a high school diploma too, that you can certainly access and investigate. So we wish we could be the answer for everyone, but we just can't be. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
What is the oldest age accepted for the certificate and transition program? We do not have an age limit for either of those two programs. Can we have access to the recording of the meeting? Absolutely. Lisa Turner can definitely send that out. We can send that out to everybody that joined us today as part of it, or you can reach out directly to Lisa Turner to have it sent. I think that might be the best bet if you want to potentially just add your email address to the chat here, and we can send it out that way. Financial aid available for any component of the certificate and transition program. It is not available due to the programs not being degree seeking, unfortunately.
But Lisa, do you want to jump in and talk a little bit about what families have been able to access through adult service agency funding?
Yeah, absolutely. We have really good relationships with the DDS partners. And if they have a program called, it's self-directed study, correct, Tina?
Self-directed programming through.
Self-directed programming through DDS. And they have been wonderful in paying for our program fee. For the commuter only, they do not pay for the residential piece. So the family would need to pick up the residential piece. And for the certificate program, they have paid for tuition and fees too. So they've been really generous with their funding for a lot of our students. Transition, unfortunately, where they're taking the courses for credit, they cannot pick that up because it's considered degree seeking at that point. So they are not able to pick up the transition courses. Families have also been really successful with getting loans. Sally Mae has a program out there that has been wonderful in covering the, once again, the program fee and the tuition and fees. So those are options, as well as any other, financial source, local banks. You could take a private loan and things like that. I do see the question in here about MRC funding. We have had some MRC funding, but most of our students go through DDS.
And we like to recommend that families, if they do apply, if a student does apply to the program, at that point, of course, you don't know if you'll be accepted into the program, but it's a good chance to start the conversation with your caseworker and the adult agencies that you're connected with, to let them know about the program, because it does take time. Lisa knows, and working with our students and families, it takes quite a bit of time to get approval on funding. So it doesn't hurt to start the conversation sooner than later.
Right.
What else do we have, Lisa? Any next questions?
Let me scroll up here.
I know it's hard to scroll when you're on this screen for some reason. I have a hard time scrolling.
Okay, financial aid. Oh, how many applicants do you get for the transition program, and how do you choose?
Yeah, so this past year was the first year we actually had to have a wait list due to, again, like I explained, decreased staffing. We want to maintain quality programming. We don't want to extend ourselves to the point where we start losing the value for folks that are involved in the program. So we want to make sure that our students have appropriate support throughout their experience here. So we did have to end up declining about 15 students this past year overall for all three of the programs. And how do we choose? We stick very clear to our program criteria. We have a rubric. We through the process of reviewing applications, reviewing recommendation letters, interviewing students. This year, we're going to be interviewing students and families, and also talking with those folks that are recommending the students, district liaisons and things like that. So we will be vetting students in a way that we want to be sure that the students are really meeting all the program criteria. And Zach said it best, first and foremost, that it is their desire. We want to see a student and a candidate that really wants this, that it's not coming from the family, it's not coming from the school district. It's their desire, their drive, that they want to be here. So it's a process. It's a application review process, interviewing process. And then we, unfortunately, we're not able to, this past year, we were not able to accept all of even the qualified candidates. So that's when it gets very difficult, and we try to be as fair as possible to divide it equally between our district partnership, certificate, and transition. What do we have next?
Yep, Tina, we have a question about out-of-state students entering the transition program? How many have we had so far?
We have not had any out-of-state students yet. But we are open to consideration for that.
All right, the MRC question. Have other universities reached out to see how many they could set up similar programming?
Can we repeat that question? Have other
universities reached out to see how they could set up similar programming?
Well, that is a wonderful question for the state coordinator. So the MACI initiative, the Massachusetts Inclusive Concurrent Enrollment Initiative, is a statewide program that I want to say there's about 15 universities and community colleges that are involved in this programming. And the statewide coordinator, her name is Mary Price. She works up at the Department of Higher Education. And maybe Lisa, if you wouldn't mind, you could put her contact information in this chat. I would absolutely reach out to her. Her job, it really is to develop these programs and work with campus communities to get these programs up and running and developed, because we can't be the only game in town, right? I mean, it goes back to, you know, our inability to consider all kinds of exceptions to our criteria. This is not a 200 student program. Right now we have 22 students this year. We like to be around 30, and that we're hoping that we would get our staffing back and approved to be around 30 per year. So that question speaks volumes, because there needs to be more opportunities like this at other college campuses. There really does. But there are others. And I encourage everyone to, maybe Zach or Christina, you could put Think College into the chat. That's another really good resource. It's a national database of inclusive higher education programs throughout the country. There's about 300 around the country. I highly, highly encourage you to check it out. And, you know, because there's a lot of really wonderful programs out there. And so, you know, it's gaining momentum. You know, these programs are gaining momentum. It's a civil rights movement, and it's going to continue. We're really proud that we can offer it here at Bridgewater, but, you know, we just don't have the capacity right now to accept every qualified candidate. We wish we did, but so keep advocating, keep reaching out, reach out to that state coordinator. Tell her that you want to see more programs like this throughout the state, because that's true. We need more.
I don't see any other questions in the chat. Does anyone else have any questions?
I'm absolutely, please feel free to unmute yourself if you want to chat here. I'm going to open it up. Anybody that will sort of be kind of ending it, but we're going to continue this discussion. If people have more questions, we're going to stay on for a little while and answer as much as we can. And we thank anybody that needs to leave for joining us today.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just wondering if anybody on staff has children that are either developmentally disabled or on the spectrum.
Can you say that one more time? I'm so sorry. It was a little muted. Ellen?
Sorry, yes, I'm just wondering if anybody on staff has their own children that would be appropriate for this program. Like, have you raised children with these types of disabilities?
I can speak for myself and say that no, I have not. However, we do have backgrounds in special education and have worked in the industry for years, all of us. So
I'm just curious. It's okay. No judgment, just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. But just so that you do know that we do have that expertise in working with this population for many, many years. And we love what we do. We absolutely cherish each and every one of the students that have been involved in our program. And in fact, we had one stop into the office yesterday. And it was just great to see where they're at now and what they're doing. So it's wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Of course. We'll welcome anyone to jump in. And of course, you are please feel free to exit and go enjoy the rest of your day. But we will stay on if anybody wants to stay on for any other, one-on-one questions, or just even in a smaller group. We're here. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for everything.